Well, our family grew up here in the small frame house out in the yard. I was back and forth through this house daily. Went to school over here, and when I'd get out of school, I would come back and usually come through here because my grandmother kept a real good, well-stocked pie safe back here in the pantry, and I could go by there and help myself and keep on out the back door. So I have some real good memories of not only the house but the farm. We had cattle, hogs, chickens, at one time sheep, and it was a working farm. Before I can remember, my grandfather had a dairy here. He had a right nice dairy barn, concrete floors, manure gutters, silo, and a large hayloft overhead, and that took care of a lot of our time in working with that after he closed the dairy. We had milk cows, and of course the milking had to be done morning and night. So those are some of my basic memories of living here. Well, she was a real good cook. This room we're sitting in was the formal parlor. As people came in the door, there were seats, chairs, small tables, and so forth. And I remember her having different family members and community people coming in to, I reckon they called it having tea, spend an hour or so, and then disperse, next week do the same thing. So she was active in the community in several different ways. As families had problems, she would always send food. And of course they had chickens and hog meat and all, and she would fix food for those people who needed. All right, the building, I like the whole building. I like it for several reasons. One, the structure. When my grandfather, after the fire of the other house, got ready to rebuild, first thing he did was build himself a brickyard. It was down here by this gate entrance, and the walls of the house, the exterior walls are 18-inch brick. The interior walls, all of these are 14-inch solid brick. So it took a tremendous amount of brick to put this structure together. He bought the outside course all the way around because they were fired different from the brick that he made. So that was one of the first things. But getting back to the house, I reckon I like the library over there the best. He had a pool table right in the center of the room, and there were bookcases around different places. He did like to read, he read a lot. Well, the farm being a working farm, we raised for the cattle and teams, the hay and the corn. And you've probably seen one of these old corn choppers. It's the 4 legs, a stand, a trough with a blade at this end. You push your corn up and chop it, and push, chop it and chop it like that. And that was feed for the teams. And we raised hay for the cattle, and some of that went to the teams as well. We raised the corn for feeding the hogs and for feeding cattle. And of course the garden came in. We grew most of the food we ate. My grandmother had her garden and we had our garden. And sometimes there was a little competition between who could have the first tomatoes and things like that. But those are good memories too. It was sort of hard, sweaty work a lot of times. But you know, when you get to the end of a row that you've just cleaned up with a hoe and gotten all the weeds and grass out, and the plants are looking pretty good, you look back down, and it's a good feeling. The original water system was from a large spring about a quarter of a mile back down the hill over here. There was a pump house, a spring house. The spring house was probably about 8 feet square, concrete walls, and the water in that was about, I don't know, 6 or 7 feet deep. The pipe picked that water up and brought it over to the pump house, which was 20 feet away. There was a single cylinder, hit and miss pump that pumped the water from there up to the house. The tank up here in the tank tower was laminated 2x10s, probably 8 feet square and 18 feet deep, that was sitting on 6 I-beams that were going from brick wall to brick wall. So that was a tremendous weight.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And there's an overflow pipe that still comes out the back of the house there over the back porch. And when the pump would pump and the tank would get full, whoever saw the water coming out of the overflow pipe would holler, and the fastest runner would go to the pump to shut it off. I could run pretty fast, so very often I went down there and shut the pump off. In fact, until I was up in my 20s or maybe 30s, I never thought of it as being anything unusual. But I got interested in the construction of it, and the more I found out about it, the more I appreciated really what it is. He put a lot of thought into the planning of it. He wrote, corresponded with people in Richmond, several places in Pennsylvania, to get materials for the building of it. And I don't know where the stone came from, but somewhere away from here.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And I guess because of the fire, he decided to go with brick this time.
Well, the original house here, which at that time was not an old house, It was probably 30 years old, but it was a large two-story frame building. And the fire, like most fires back then, was a complete burn. It burned everything. So I think that really made an impression on him and encouraged his intent to build it as fireproof as he could. And even by today's standards, it's pretty well fireproof. If a fire were to get going in the attic, it would burn down to the top of the walls and then it would go out because there isn't anything in the structure, the floor coverings, window frames, but no structure that will burn. After my grandmother passed, after she passed away, the furniture and all those things were dispersed, and then the farm and house together were sold. A couple of men from Virginia bought it at that time, and after several years, they sold it to a man named Rogers, William Rogers, who gave it to Patrick Henry. Mr. Rogers was a real nice man who had been in service, retired, and was living in Richmond, and he bought it with the idea of coming here to live or having it as a summer home or something. But his wife was a city girl, and she didn't want to be this far in the country, so that's the reason he didn't keep it.
Wow.
Well, to start off with, I'm glad that some local people were interested in the building and the place, and I'm glad that they are interested in some of the history that goes with it. I think that gives the family members on my side a comfortable, happy feeling. I'm real glad. Yeah, I've been knowing the Wilburns for a right good while. Billy Wilburn farmed tobacco on our place for several years, and he really did a super good job. He enjoyed farming. He really did. He hated to quit. But I enjoyed working with him through that. He did me real good. I think it would be very suitable for that. People who want to stay maybe 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 months. It's a nice place to stay, in my opinion.
I would bet.
I might come over.